Chapter 4. Let's start. After testing his strength and gaining some insight to his own strength, Luyu rose to his feet and left. A couple walked towards him. "Good morning, Grandpa Lu." The girl greeted Luyu with a smile. Luyu recalled that this little girl was also a resident of this small district. However, her skills evolution was not very high, otherwise she would not be living here. The young man beside her glanced at Luyu and then took no more notice of him. He curled his lips and turned to look elsewhere. "Good morning," Luyu smiled and nodded before leaving. After walking away, the young man said angrily, "He's just an old man. Why are you being so polite to him?" However, the young woman said seriously, "Grandpa Lu used to be a warrior who participated in the Holy War. Without their contribution, how can we live in a peaceful world that we currently have?" The young man said indifferently. "Look at his head full of white hair. His skills evolution level is not very high. He is just passive cannon fodder. Even if he had participated in the Holy War, what does the Holy War have to do with him?" The woman was a little displeased when she heard that. "Grandpa Lu is a very good person and very powerful too. You can't behave in this manner towards him. How strong can he be? If he is really that strong, how can he be still living here?" The young man retorted. When the young woman heard this, she was stunned for a moment and was at a loss for words. Come on, let's go and have a test. I have improved quite a bit recently. I feel that I should have reached martial arts warrior grade 2. When the time comes and my allowance is increased, I will take you out for a good meal," the young man said casually. When they came to the testing store in the middle of the district, they were shocked to find a heap of rubble instead of the testing stone. "What's going on? The limit of this testing stone is 10,000 kg. How can anyone here reach 10,000 kg of punching force?" the young man exclaimed in shock. The young woman pulled him to one side and pointed at the monitoring device beside her. An unbelievable number was displayed on it: 12,000 kg. 12,000 kg? Is not that the strength of a martial master? Are there martial master in this neighborhood? Both of them were astonished. "I think Grandpa Lu came out from here just now. Could it be that Grandpa Lu punched this result?" The young lady hazarded a guess. The young man was terrified when he heard that he had been so disrespectful to a martial master just now. At that moment, he broke out in cold sweat. If the other party decided to pursue the matter, his life would be over. "Grandpa Lu won't give me any trouble, right? Otherwise, I'm dead for sure," the young man moaned with regret. "I don't think so," the young woman shook her head. "Grandpa Lu is a very good person. He's very kind to us. He probably won't give you any trouble." At the same time, the young woman was also puzzled. Previously, she had heard grandfather mention that some of these elderly people's health vitality had been regressing recently, as well as their strength. Grandpa Lu was among this group. But now, how did Grandpa Lu manage to punch out with a force of 12,000 kilograms? With this level of force, he would have reached the level of martial master. The young woman suddenly began to doubt that this punch could have come from Grandpa Lu. However, there were very few people in the small district in the morning. She didn't see anyone else at all. She recalled seeing only Grandpa Lu passing by just now. Meanwhile, Lu didn't think too much about the incident and went straight home. In 2 days' time, it would be the Federation martial art trial. With his current upgraded skill evolution, there was no need for him to worry about being demoted to an ordinary person. However, it was clear that Luyu was not satisfied with this. In this world, martial arts reigned supreme. The stronger one was, the higher his status and the better his treatment. Compared to ordinary people, martial arts warriors were leading considerably better lives. They could live a lifetime without worrying about food and money, but that was all. Even if Luyu didn't care about anything else, he was still concerned about his own lifespan. He was already 90-year-old and could only extend his lifespan if he reached the level of martial master. Otherwise, if he died of old age in a few years' time, it would be too much of a waste. The irony that he would die of old age in a few years after transmigrating was not lost on him. Luyu didn't want that to happen to him. If he wanted his abilities to continue improving, absorbing the thin spiritual energy from the air or practicing and training to strengthen his body would be way too slow. With his triple S class gluttony talent, he had given a shortcut. Thinking of this, Luyu went to the kitchen and opened the freezer to search for food. Inside the freezer, there were only some vegetables or ordinary livestock meat left. Luyu took a quick glance. With his triple S class gluttony talent, he could tell that there was very little health vitality contained within these foods. It was too meager for his current grade 6 martial arts evolution needs. He had to buy some other ingredients. Following this, Luyu put on his virtual reality helmet. The helmet looked similar to an ordinary helmet except that there was a crystal core attached at the back which was used to provide energy. After putting it on, store options started appearing one by one in front of Luyu. With just a single thought, Luyu began making his selection. It was truly convenient. Although martial arts was considered the most important thing in this world, there was still a certain degree of advancement in technology. It was quite progressive, and the futuristic technology turned out to be quite useful. Luyu was well aware that he was currently a grade 6 martial arts warrior and his strength had risen up by a great deal. Most ordinary food would not be of much help. However, things like ginseng and other high-end ingredients were very expensive. He could not afford them with his current limited financial means. Just as he was fretting over the lack of suitable options at this moment, a few pieces of fearsome beast meat were put up for sale in the store. They attracted Luyu's attention immediately. According to his memories, the meat from this fearsome beast was not much use to ordinary martial art warrior. He simply could not absorb much of the strength and health vitality within, and could only consume them as relatively more delicious food. What martial arts warrior really needed was the crystal core inside the bodies of the fearsome beast. That was the most valuable item. As for the meat of this fearsome beast, as far as ordinary people were concerned, the meat was considered inferior to ordinary livestock or mutated animals. Even though the meat from fearsome beast was delicious, ordinary people could not absorb the nutrients within. Most of them would end up with diarrhea after consuming it. As a result, there were very few uses for the meat of this fearsome beast. Only martial arts warrior could eat it as an ordinary food. As a result, there were not many customers who bought it. Their price dropped again and again until they were only slightly more expensive than ordinary meat. Luyu checked his current financial status. He had 3,000 federal coins left. Although it was a relatively small sum, it was still enough to buy some good stuff. Luyu ran through the various selections before settling for the meat of the Aquila. Firstly, this fearsome beast seemed to be more powerful and of a higher class than the choices. With Luyu's triple S class gluttony talent, the higher the quality of the ingredients, the more surprises he would get. Secondly, it was the only item that Luyu could afford. As for the meat of other fearsome beasts, they were either relatively commonplace or too expensive for Luyu. After spending all 3,000 federal coins and placing an order for 3 kilograms of Aquila meat, Luyu sat back and waited at home. Less than half an hour later, the doorbell rang. Luyu opened the door, and sure enough, the courier had arrived. The swift logistics service had already delivered his order. "Sir, this is the item you ordered from our Eastern Emporium. Please sign for it," a young man said while holding a package the size of a wash basin. Chapter finished. See you again in next chapter.